We're here with Sean Buffy, one of the best hurlers that ever came out of the parish. A man that won 4 divisional championship medals, played with Limerick, won All Ireland Juniors, 2 months of Junior championship medals, and also played seniors championship with Limerick. Sean, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Denis.
First question is now, when did you start hurling?
I started hurling way back, I suppose we'd say around the early 40s, we'd say around 41 or 42. And my first match was in a parish, we'll say that when I started hurling it was with, in the parish league. And I'll always think of that day that we played a team from Ballyagran. I was a mere young fella, just I suppose, I was hardly, I suppose, just after stopping school, I'd say, and it was no other man than the well-known Paddy Binson. And I'll always think that during that game, of course I was only a very small wake misfortune that time, he gave me a fair good shoulder, and I'd say he shook things inside me that never got back into place. And that is a good few years ago. Well, from that on then, I played my first, I suppose, junior hurling match with Castletown against Feehan in the year, I think to be about 1943, 42 or 3. And there was in that Feehan team the McCarthy's, the Neenans, Jerry Neenan, the Tomies, Tom and Jack Tomey, and Bill Boyce, Willie Irvin, and a good few others now just that I can't recollect. And during those years, of course, we had great players with us, and to the good ways back, I suppose maybe a lot of the younger fellas at the present time weren't even born or thought of at that time. But we had in that team with us Mick Bresnan, father of the present John Bresnan that's playing so well for the present team. Also one of the Simcoxes from Rockhill, and Mick Webb, and a good few more now that play with us, Dave Geahan and Jim Shanahan and so on and so forth. A good few more players now just that I can't think of at during that area.
1946 he won the West Junior Championship. Who did you beat in the final of that?
We beat Kildare in the final of that, and the score on that occasion I can well recollect it was 2 goals and 9 points to no score. I happened to be playing in goals during those years.
Would you have that team now?
Well, I would have that team now. In goal was myself, and right corner back I think was Michael Griffin, and full back was Stephen McCarthy. Left corner back was Paddy Morrissey. Right half back was Kevin Murray. Centre back Paddy Carroll, and left half back John Cullinane. Jim Morrissey, not Jim no, but Peter Durant and Mick Milan were centre field. Jim Morrissey centre forward, Bertie Milan and Tom Connors. You had Jimmy Malley and Bob Wallace, and I think it was Paddy O'Brien or some, yeah, I think to see it was the other corner forward, so as I can recollect. And there was a good few subs of course in that team too, Jim Shanahan, and we had those years we had Dave Geahan with us too, and a few more like that. I just can't bring them all to mind just now.
To get back to that team, Sean, how come that the Milans from Bury were there to play with you?
Well, at that time there was no team, I think, in the other side of in the Brewery and Rockhill side, and they just happened to have some claims in the parish, and they played with us during that year, and they were great players, a great asset to us that time, and definitely we had good players as well, but certainly they were a great help to us to win that first West Limerick Championship in 1946.
And who beat you in the county championship?
South Liberties beat us in the county final that year. We met Ballybrown in the county semi-final in Adair, and we won that match by I think about 4 points. It was a great game, and on that occasion, that day, Jim Morrissey had got injured on the West final, and we played without him. And I always think of our late chairman, Paddy Boyce, God be good to him. He was living in the parish for a good few years, and at this time he had gone from the parish to Patrickswell around that area. And we happened to meet him before the match against Ballybrown, and we gone into the field, and he said to us, "What were you for today?" So we said, we were as good as could be expected without Jim Morrissey. And his words were, "I'm afraid," he says, "he won't beat Ballybrown without Jim Morrissey." And true to his words, they gave us a fair fight. We won it, and the most of our players that day played great hurling. So we won that match by I think about 4 points.
And the county final that year was against South Liberties in Chrome. That was the stormy day, was it?
That was the day of the wind and the rain. Certainly one of the worst days, I think, for a match that could be. And the Chrome field, as you know, on that occasion, it was a very open, bleak field, and the breeze was blown in from, we'll say, from the west from west to east, and it was blown from one goal right straight into the other. And I remember we played with the wind in the first half hour, and we turned over with a lead of 5 goals, which we thought might be sufficient to hold out against the team of Liberties, which they had great players, of course, that time, but alas, to our misfortune, it wasn't good enough. We were beaten by, I think, about 4 goals, but we happened in the second half to score 1 goal against the wind, and I think it was my neighbour here, Tom Connors, that scored that goal. Well, we lost that match, and I would say that was one of our best teams, I think, in Castletown, and I would say that but for the conditions of that day, we probably would have won that county, and we're good enough to win it, but just there you couldn't see a goal line, you couldn't see a thing. I mentioned this before, I think I was in goals at that time, and that day I poked out a ball, I think it was going into the last quarter of an hour, and the wind brought it back in again, and I had to stop it. Luckily enough, I did stop it. I suppose that I made history by scoring a goal for South Liberties myself.
51, 2 and 3, they were surely great years for Castletown.
They were great years.
You must definitely have enjoyed those.
Oh,
You have
yes,
a lot of memories of them.
Immensely. I have an awful lot of memories of those years. They were great years. Definitely we had great players down all through the years. The likes of the Morrises, of course, were great players, great clubmen, but we had Paddy Carroll, we had Stephen McCarthy in those years, we had Jack Carroll, Ballyagran, we had Mick Dolan, we had all those players, the O'Connors, Bob Wallace and Cullinans, all those players. They were great players during those years, and certainly the first year in 51 we met Kilfinney in the West Limerick final. And I remember before that match, it was the Sunday after the race, around this time of the year, the Sunday after the race of Listowel, and I happened to be at the races, and I met one of the Kilfinney officials at the races, and we were talking about the match, and I just said to him, "What do you think about Sunday?" Well, he said, "We're hoping to say, we're nearly confident to say that we'll win the West." So as a matter of fact, he said we didn't leave any of our players to say come to the races, which was, I said to myself, this is something that they're very interested in. They're certainly main business. But I happened to meet a good few of our fellas back there that day, and I needn't tell you, but they were enjoying it, definitely, even though that the West final was coming off the following Sunday. Well, on that Sunday, I remember well, it was Peter Brennan, his day too, the Lord Merson Raquel, that refereed that match. And I'll never forget the first 10 minutes of that game. I think it was they were the fastest team for 10 minutes that I can ever recall meeting in any one of our games in West Limerick or even in South Limerick. They ran us completely into the ground for 10 minutes. And I will say that the back stood up to it, but for their standing up to it, during that length of time, I think that if Kilfinney got in front, that it would have been a different story. But it just so happened that after about 10 minutes or a quarter of an hour of that game, Castletown just happened to hold out for the first quarter. They began to get on top, but Kilfinney completely collapsed, and we won that match, I think, that West Limerick final, by about 6 or 7 goals. And I'll always think of that day, Paddy Morrissey was playing a cornerback, and the match was gone so, Kilfinney had gone so bad at this stage, maybe about 7 or 8 minutes to go, Paddy lit a fag. And I'll always think of Peter Brennan saying to him, "Look lads," to say, "try and keep the thing going." That is facts, and that's one of the most enjoyable things that I can remember about that match.
During that period, Sean, you had the same number of players, much the same team that won the West in 46 and the 3 in the 51, 2 and 3.
That's right. We had and additional players now to those. We had Jack Carroll, of course, and we had the Reagans came on. Probably they were great players too. Sean Reagan was one of the best corner forwards that ever, I think, played for us. Definitely, he was a great corner forward. And also we had Jimmy Malley, of course, on the other. He was gone at this stage, but we had a good few of the old players. Gus Cullinano and all them, God be good to him. There is a good few of those lads dead since then. And I might mention a couple more, of course, that have passed on. The Joe Corkin, which was another great player, a cornerback and a great character, and Paddy O'Brien, of course, Peter Morrissey. God be good to all these fellas. It's sad to think that they all have passed on.
And when you went in and went to the South in 1957, he won it in 58.
Yeah.
He still had some of that team.
We still had about 6 or 7 of that team, and I think the ones that remained were Jim Morrissey, Paddy Morrissey, Willie Cagney, Gus Cullinan, Sean Reagan and myself. I think that would be about the bulk of the players that were left from the early stages of in the West Championship.
You also must have created a record. You played in the Limerick Senior Championship with 3 different teams.
I did. I played with Croom, for I suppose from we'll say around 1947, 46, 47 and 48. But we went to the county final in 48. We were beaten by Feehan, and at that time, of course, the senior clubs, Croom and Feehan and all these great senior teams in the county were allowed to pick from junior clubs. And I might mention that in that Croom team, I think there'd only be about 3 or 4 or 5 at the most of Croom players. They had them from Jerry McCarthy from Drumculliher, Paddy McCarthy, Newcastle West, all famous names. They had the Millans and Mick Sexton and Larry Connors, they too from Mick Sexton, they had all those from Brewery, Jim Morrissey, myself from Castletown, and John Murray and Patsy Hall and a couple more from Patty as well. It was you could call it nearly a county team. Well, Feehan were as good. They had them from Palace and they had them from Cappamore and other the Mackies, of course, were playing that time, and Jackie Power and all those.
And who beat you in the county final? Oh, Feehan beat you in the county final.
The county final that year.
Of course, Jackie Power and company, they were all great men.
They were all great men, definitely. They were all great players, no doubt about it. I suppose the likes of them will never again be in Limerick hurling, the likes of the Mackies and Power and all that great team. Craigan's, they were all great players, no doubt about that.
And how long did you play with Western Gales?
I played with Western Gales then when Castletown won the West in 1951. The team that won the division had the option of picking, well, they had a good say in picking the divisional team, we'll say, for the championship, for the senior championship the following year, and that was in 51 and 52 and 53.
And you went on and you played with Emmets in 1959?
I did. I played with Emmets. I didn't play too many matches with Emmets, but I'll always recall of a match we played against Ballyagran, an evening match in Bruff. And I played, I think, around centre back or something, but I was on none other than Paddy Feehan from Ballyagran. But I think that was around, my Emmets weren't going so well at that time, and I think that'll be about my last match with Emmets around that time.
Of course, you played a number of matches with Limerick. We'll start with, you played senior championship with him in 1949 against Waterford.
Yeah, I played against, Waterford won the All-Ireland in 48, and I was selected to play a cornerback in 49. But I wasn't up to the standard on that day, and I was taken off the team. And well, I didn't get my place with the senior team for a year or two after that. But unfortunately, at that time in Limerick, it can be recalled that Croom and Feehan had a bit of a set-to in a county final, and it didn't serve hurling in Limerick. And Limerick had a few lean years after that. But I played afterwards in the tournaments, and I played in the league a few games, and I was also a sub for Limerick against Clare in 1953. Clare beat Limerick badly that day in Denis, and I played my last match, I think, with Limerick against Tipperary in 54 in Kilmallock.
Has hurling changed much now from your time to the present day?
Well, maybe the hurling has changed a bit, all right, but I will say of the present day hurling that it can be very good. Definitely can be very good. There's an awful lot of lovely hurling at the present time now. You can see players doing great things. But going back then to our time, we had of course, there was no such thing. There isn't anything now that we can see it like there was that time. We wouldn't see a fella doubling a ball or anything like that. But I can go back, if we don't mind, going back to a match against Knockadara in the final of the West, I think in 1952 it was, or 53, some of those years anyway. 53 it was. We beat Newcastle in 52, 53 we played Knockadara. But I always remember Willie Cagney, he played in goals that year for us. And Peter Morrissey, God be good, he was playing centre field. Well, Willie Cagney poked out this ball, and Peter Morrissey doubled in it, and that's all there was in it. The ball went straight over the bar at the other side, like, without ever touching the ground. I think, which you would always think of these things which were something classical in hurling, and there's something that will never leave our mind. But I'll always think of that in that 53 West Limerick final. Willie Kenny poking out the ball, Peter Morrissey doubling it, sending it straight direct over the bar at the other side, a point for Castletown.
Well, it was always said up to the present day that you were a very good goalkeeper. Had you ever any regrets about leaving the goals?
Well, the funny thing about playing in goals, I was never quite happy playing in goals. I don't know why. Yeah, while I was in goals, I suppose, like any goalkeeper, I tried to do my best, but I never liked the goals. I'd rather be out the field somehow or another. I don't know how it was, whether it was chasing the ball or what, but I always liked to be in the thick of things. And my first match I can recall playing out of goals was against Dromar Rakeel in Adair, and Adair beat us the same day. But I remember well that that was in I think about 1940, 48 I'd say, but the fall of that year I was selected to play against Galway in a league game with Limerick, so I think if I had stayed on goals I mightn't have got that chance. I have no regrets so far as coming out of goals, and that's good.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I think that it was very nice listening to you, but I thought we'll have to ask you a question or two about the present day team now to finish up with what do you think of the present team in Castletown?
Well, I think of the present team in Castletown, and going back the years, the present team first, I will say they're a very good bunch of players, definitely. And I must say now that the day they played Glenroe, that they played some great hurling, as I said, some very nice hurling, and that they're a good team and seem to be very well trained. Phil Venus has a good job done on them, and I think here now that I must compliment all the people that are involved with that team, and not that team alone, but from the years that we won our last South Limerick Championship in '58. There has been a lot of lean years since then, but still, apart from all that, the club has been kept going in the parish, and to those people I think there's an awful lot of credit due. People like Jack Boyce, the President Johnny Boyce's father, the Lord mercy on him. A good few more that were involved in the team down in the club down through the years, Father Ryan, and a lot more. I think that they kept the flag flying, and that there was great credit due to them, and that they should not be forgotten, this great present team that we have at present.
Well, Sean, thanks very much, and it was very nice listening to you, and we hope to come back to you again sometime, but thanks once again.